This week, I have gone ahead and made a step-by-step Word/PDF document that you can follow along with if you prefer some written directions. I did just want to go over um, the steps of creating this picture book as a video as well. So I'm going to show you the setup for one page, and then it's up to you to kind of repeat those steps to make either that question or answer page. So again, I think it's a fun project. I mean, I know I'm a little biased, but I really enjoy seeing how these evolve. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file. And I will say that at this point, I have already edited my pictures. So I'm not going to go through that step. I actually used Lightroom to edit my pictures, saved those, and then I'm going to use those pictures in Photoshop. So there's kind of some overlap that I can start to decide what software I want to use for editing, and it's a lot easier to compile things in Photoshop. So there's a couple things I can do. I can just adjust the presets right here. I'm actually going to click on that print button up at the top here, and all I have to do is select letter. 8.5 by 11 is already selected for me. And I can decide by clicking on orientation if I want it to be vertical or if I want it to be horizontal. I went ahead, I was going to say, I think I switched it to horizontal, but that is up to you. You get to change that, whatever you want it to be. You can already name it if you want to. I'll just say a picture book demo. And I'm going to click on create. And now I have a blank document. Great. Well, the very first thing I need is I need an image. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm just going to kind of reconstruct a little bit using those same pictures that are in that walk by walk part. I'm going to start with that question, the what am I section, and I'm going to go ahead and open it. Got my picture. One thing you'll notice is that it opens in a separate tab. So that's not very helpful, is it? This step, it's once you've gotten the hang of it, it's easy and you'll do it in your sleep, but it does take a few tries to get this down. What I'm going to do is I see the file name, image7255. I'm going to pull that out of my window and I'm just going to drop it so you can see, I can still see that layers panel for my background. If this shows me a white thumbnail here, that's showing me that background, and I don't want that because I'm not going to be able to drag it to the new file. So I've removed this. You can always put it back in by dropping it back in, but I've removed it out of the window. And then I'm going to take that background and I'm going to drop it. I'm holding down my mouse. I haven't let go yet. It's still down. And then when I release it, I've centered it on my page. Now I have this giant picture. But that's okay because I can resize it. But now you can see background and layer one are in the same document. This means I'm in a good place. They are on the same page. So I can go ahead and resize it by hitting Edit, Transform, Scale. And these borders, these rectangles form. I'm just going to, and now for me, I haven't updated to 2019. I just haven't updated. So I have to hit Shift in order to keep my proportions the same. And by the same, I mean in line with each other. What happens if I don't hold Shift down for myself? It gets all out of whack and crazy. It doesn't look good. So in 2019, I noticed that you don't have to hold Shift down. It automatically constrains the proportions. Let me know if that's different for you guys, but I've been using 2019 for other things, and I've noticed that's a little bit different. So remember, this is going to be a picture book. I want the bulk, but I want the bulk of the focus to be on the photo. You know, I don't want you guys to get caught up in, you know, oh my gosh, I have to illustrate all this, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, you know, there are different styles to picture books, but this one is a photo emphasis. So I'm just going to hit return to keep my picture on the page. And now I'm ready for the next step. I'm going to go ahead and add some text to my design. If I go over to this T on the toolbar, I'm going to use the horizontal type tool. If I hold it down, I can see I can use a vertical type tool. Then there are masking tools as well. So if I want my text to be horizontal, which I do, I'm just going to click on this and I put my cursor down and I can start typing, and I'll say, oh my, what do I see? There are so many colors. Oops. Okay, so one thing I did mention in the demo, number one, double check your spelling. Number two, you don't have to rhyme. I've had students literally just write, what am I before? I get really into this. If I hadn't been an art major, I think I definitely would have been an English major. So now I have my font, and I have already misspelled many, so I'm going to fix that right away. And this is slightly different than the document, but you get the main idea here. I am going to, if I want to change my options, you see up at the top of my toolbar, it lets me change the type of font, the kind of the size of the font, whether it's bold or italics, which way I'm lining it up. So let me show you a couple things. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it because I want all of my font to be selected. I'm going to align it to the right. If I want it to be aligned in different ways, I can center it, but I'm going to keep it to the right. I'm happy with the 30-point font, but I can select by changing the font. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller or bigger. Again, my idea is that I want the picture to be the main focus. It's not that there aren't going to be other things on the page, but I want to make sure I'm keeping that in check. Then I can decide, again, over on the left here, there's lots of different, make it a font that I can read. If you put this in emoji, I'm not going to be able to read it, but there are lots of different things I can choose from. So you can see, again, you can scroll through the list. I'm just going to keep it in Georgia at the moment. Again, if I want to change the font color, over here, this little button up at the top, it's between my right indent and my curve. I can change around the colors. So, again, I want to make sure, like, I was happy with the color that I had in this color family. I'm going to hit OK. And, it's a fairly neutral font. And I'm going to resize this box just a little bit, and that will come in useful in a moment. It's not necessary. So the one other thing I'll show you is that if I want to warp my text, you saw I selected that T with the arc underneath. You can make it so that it is not just horizontal. You can see the different effects that are going on. So that's kind of a fun one, the rise. Depending on the page that you're using, you might change it. So right now for my demo, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm not going to warp it, but it's an option for those of you guys who are really into design. So I have some text. I have my photo. The next thing I'll show you, I'm going to pause here for just a minute, and then I will go ahead and I'll show you inserting a border behind the picture and changing some of that background.